Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the February 7th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Adam Rue on Franklin Street. Is the town prepared for a party after tonight's Duke-Carolina game? I'll let you know coming up.
We'll introduce you to two more candidates for student body president with the election less than a week away.
I cannot believe I'm saying this, but forget about the Duke game tonight. Butch Davis's first recruiting class has stolen the spotlight of Tar Heel athletics.
Weathercaster Laura Pagano is here with your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
All that and a look at Carborough's Poet Laureate.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Kate Schoen.
And I'm Alex Villarreal. It's a rare day that football tops basketball around here, especially on the day of the Carolina-Duke matchup.
But today, that happens to be the situation. Sportscaster Brandon Curry joins us with news on the rumblings coming out of Kenan Stadium. Hi, Brandon.
Hey, it could have been rumblings. It could have been the sounds of a possible bowl victory coming up. A new head coach, Butch Davis, has made a huge statement to the college football world. North Carolina football is back. Davis has landed one of the top classes in the country, led by five-star recruits Marvin Austin, Rivals.com, top defensive tackle in the country, and Dwight Jones, a wide receiver from Burlington. Davis was also able to steal Durham's Hillside's Greg Little, who verbally committed to Notre Dame before ultimately choosing the Heels.
Excitement in the air today isn't just about the success of Butch Davis. We are just a few hours away from another heated installment in the Duke-UNC basketball rivalry, and the town of Chapel Hill is busy preparing for any post-game celebration that might take place. Reporter Adam Rue joins us from Franklin Street with more. Adam?
Any win against Duke is a big one, but town officials say they're not trying to tone down the party, just keep people safe.
Yeah, we don't mind people celebrating. What we don't like is people getting hurt.
Chapel Hill Police Major Brian Curran is in charge of coordinating the 35 additional officers who are on standby for tonight's game. He says fans are usually pretty well behaved, but accidents do happen.
And we have, over the past few celebrations, have had some kids get pretty seriously burned.
If UNC wins, Curran says he expects between 1,500 and 3,000 students to make their way into the downtown area. But Franklin Street won't close unless the fans start to overflow into the roadway.
We don't plan to close the street because once you close the street, then people will fill it.
Curran says those of you who are planning to drive to downtown might want to think again.
We would encourage folks not to park on the 100 block just in case.
If you want to get to the party but don't want to drive, you can take the bus. Chapel Hill Transit's Steve Spade says buses will run on a normal schedule tonight.
If there are delays because there's a lot more activity on Franklin, then we'll have supervisors on the street that'll help our operators get back on time.
But he says everything should run pretty smoothly.
We don't anticipate any major problems tonight. Some delays, happy people, we hope.
Now, in the event Carolina doesn't win, Duke officials also have plans for a celebration on that campus, including a bonfire in the main quad. But the folks in the bars here on Franklin Street are sure that won't happen. On Franklin Street, I'm Adam Rue, Carolina Week.
Thanks, Adam. We can only hope they're right and the celebrating is on this end of Tobacco Road.
While fans walk to the bars on Franklin for tonight's big game, they might notice one more vacancy on the historic street. The Car Drug location on the 100 block of Franklin Street closed for good on Friday. Signs on the doors urge customers to visit the store's other Chapel Hill location at the University Mall. UNC senior Ann Spangler says the store's closing puts a burden on students who can't drive.
I think it's really sad that Car Drugs closed because it was a convenient location for students who don't have cars.
The closing came after the building's owner and the drugstore company couldn't agree on a contract to renew the lease. Your only other drugstore option downtown is Sutton's, located a few doors down from the old Car Drug.
A recent rise in the number of break-ins has local cops taking a proactive role in helping us stay safe. There were more than 50 break-ins in Chapel Hill and Carrboro during Christmas break. That number has this officer checking a home while the owner is on vacation. Local police departments offer free house checks to prevent break-ins while the owners are away. Captain J.G. Booker says the service works, but only for those people who decide to use it.
I don't know that we've ever had a place that we were checking that we found to have been broken into. So, you know, is that a way to measure success? I don't know, but that's a positive at least.
To schedule a house check while you're away, just stop by the Chapel Hill or Carrboro Police Department and fill out a security check form.
Last week, a routine audit of employees at UNC hospitals turned up an unusual find: 17 undocumented workers. Auditors discovered those workers because they all had false Social Security numbers. 9 of them resigned, while 8 got fired. Hospital spokesman Lynn Wooten says they'll focus on more careful hiring practices and quarterly checks, but won't take any more action against the illegal workers.
It's not the hospital's responsibility to say, for example, turn these folks into INS. We would, I'm sure, assist fully within our means if somebody did decide to follow up and wanted to investigate.
This finding might prompt supervisors in other UNC sectors to start checking their employees as well.
UNC students and Chapel Hill residents don't mind braving the bitter cold as long as it's for a good cause. The School of Public Health sponsored an American Red Cross blood drive in Hooker Atrium on Tuesday. Technicians drew blood from more than 40 people in 3 hours. The Red Cross Blood Mobile served as headquarters. Inside, donors had their arms pricked and tried to relax as they gave a pint of blood each. School co-president Justin White helped set up the blood drive. He says the event was very rewarding.
We feel like it's really nice as students in public health school to actually be involved in something that is so crucial to the healthcare system here.
The blood from Tuesday's drive will go to a blood bank for testing, then to hospitals throughout the nation.
Last semester, Carolina Dining Services announced the creation of a new commuter meal plan, but so far the plan is not whetting many appetites. The plan lets off-campus students buy a 35-meal minimum instead of the old minimum of 105 meals.
Thank you.
Director of One Card Operations Jim Clinton says Dining Services created the new plan when commuter students requested smaller options. About 19,500 students live off campus and are eligible for the smaller plan, but to date, only about 80 of them have purchased one.
Well, Kate, only a few more days until we get to vote in our new student leaders.
Which means campaigning in the pit is in high gear. Coming up.
I'm Katie Klein. I'll introduce you to 2 SPP candidates with very different campaign strategies.
Hear that? How could I not? They can't be serious. This is their 3rd party this week and I have a test tomorrow.
Yeah, and they blocked me in. Again!
Let's party!
It's about time, you guys.
Anything left in here?
I bet they're gonna leave their garbage out again. They do this every time when they have friends over.
It's important to be considerate of others who live close to you. You wouldn't want neighbors like these. Make sure to control your garbage, obey Chapel Hill noise ordinances, park only in your driveway or other designated areas, obey all alcohol laws, and remember, we're all living in this community together, so be a good neighbor.
With only 6 days left before campus elections, student body president candidates are pounding the pavement. Reporter Katie Klein spoke with 2 of them and is here to give us the scoop. Katie?
That's right, Kate. On Monday, we introduced you to Eve Carson and Caroline Spencer. Now here's some insight on John Kite and Nick Neptune, who say it's crunch time for their campaigns.
One trip to the pit and you can see it's election season. And with 6 days until students cast votes, student body president hopefuls John Kite and Nick Neptune are spending a lot of time outside.
Obviously, we're in the pit. Everyone else is there as well. We've had our A-frames out and our signs.
During the rain, during the snow, during the sleet, during everything, and it's been just a terrific time.
Each candidate is approaching the race differently. Kite's main priority is changing student culture.
Ours is the only platform that doesn't mention tuition or basketball tickets.
His slogan, making the campus more left-handed friendly, is a metaphor.
But it's meant to be as ludicrous as some of the promises that a lot of other student leaders make, like lowering tuition or providing more basketball tickets.
One of Neptune's main priorities is tuition predictability.
You know, we've laid the groundwork over the past 3 years to really see tuition predictability take place.
He's also focusing on restructuring registration and dining.
We want Bojangles. We want fresh chicken and biscuits at 7 a.m. and at midnight. Just give it to us. Let's make it happen together.
Some ideas on Kite's platform include turning UNC into a paperless campus, meaning work would be assigned and turned in electronically. He also wants to make students more vocal.
I think a lot of our focus is on making cultural changes through symbolic actions.
Both candidates say students have responded positively to their campaigns.
It should be about serving the students.
And the next week will be a busy time for everyone.
Oh, absolutely crunch time. We're trying to have as many people out as possible.
You know, essentially, and that's what this ultimately is all about. It's about working to create and collaborate and continue what it is that makes Carolina so profoundly great.
You can vote for student body president Tuesday on Student Central until 10 p.m. The election board expects to have results to us shortly after the polls close.
Katie Klein live in the newsroom. Thanks, Katie. Tune in for our live election coverage starting at 10 on Tuesday night. We'll give you the play-by-play as the votes come in and bring you live reactions from the candidates.
In 2001, the Taliban kidnapped British journalist Yvonne Ridley in Afghanistan. Ridley later shocked the world when she converted to Islam after her release. On Monday, she spoke at UNC to a crowd of more than 200 students. She talked about her ordeal as a hostage, her view of the war on terror, and feminism in Islam. Although some people think Muslim women are repressed, Ridley has a different view of how women are and should be viewed.
I can't think of what's more liberating than being judged on your mind and character rather than the length of your skirt and the size of your bust.
If you're interested in learning more about Ridley's experiences, you can read her book, In the Hands of the Taliban, Her Extraordinary Story.
We all know that UNC is a hotbed for talent. Reporter Jessica Floyd shows us one Carolina student who's pursuing his dream job, and it has nothing to do with his major.
I'm Donovan. Nice meeting you.
Donovan Livingston dreams of becoming a music artist.
Here you go. You're welcome.
And that dream is becoming a reality.
No feet was too great, so they told him to spit.
Livingston is a sophomore and works at the campus bowling alley. But while he's there, he also works on lyrics for his future songs.
A lot of punchlines put a flow in your fist.
The Lupe Fiasco show is tonight at 8.
And Livingston is the opening act.
It's a dream come true. I just wish everybody had the opportunity to feel like this at some point in their life.
When you arrive at Memorial Hall, you should already have your ticket. Because once the show starts, all these seats will be full.
The words in that song are so beautiful.
I can fade back to the time.
Gene is my roommate. He's been my roommate since Summer Bridge.
Blow your mind.
Her voice matches the feel of the song to a T.
He was made on that assembly line.
I just wanted to harness a soulful sound.
Blow your mind. I'm going to.
It's a revolution.
Livingston says his goal is simple.
Just making people realize that rap is more than what people make it out to be.
In Chapel Hill, where dreams really do come true, I'm Jessica Floyd, Carolina Week.
Livingston is scheduled to release his first album in the fall of 2007.
Black History Month is recognized throughout the country, and here on campus, a special tour gives you insight into UNC's own legacy. For instance, it was actually slave labor that built Old East. And the planetarium's sundial almost had 13 stars in honor of the 13 Confederate states. If you want to find out more, you can take UNC's walking tour of Black history, sponsored by Students for the Advancement of Race Relations. The self-guided tour takes you from the Chapel of the Cross all the way to Hinton James Dorm. To find a link to the tour brochure, go to our website, carolinaweek.org. Well, we now welcome weathercaster Lara Pagano. Lara, can you tell us about the weather?
Well, we've had temperature fluctuations, and speaking of temperatures, we've seen a wide variety of temperatures in the past few weeks. A little bit of sunshine brings out people and their puppies. How long will we be able to enjoy these warmer temperatures? I'll let you know when we come back.
Moving. See what a 10% weight loss can do for you.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weather forecaster Lara Pagano. Well, the past few days have been kind of blustery, and especially with that breeze, and that is the top headline we have right now. It has been breezy the last couple of days, and it is going to be that way until the end of the work week. And with colder conditions, it really feels like winter finally. And do we have snow in the forecast? I'll let you know. Let's take a look at the satellite radar, and we do have some precipitation in the midsection of the country that is going to be making its way off towards the east. And with that, we might get some snow Friday into Saturday, but it really depends on how much moisture is in our region. So more focusing towards our region, we do see Durham, Raleigh, and Greensboro clear. We do have some high clouds off towards the west, but even down into Columbia, seeing really clear conditions, beautiful right now. But when we combine it with temperatures, we will see that we have some Arctic cold temperatures making its way towards the southeast. And with that, we have colder temperatures on the way. And with that and the wind chill, we are seeing temperatures are feeling a lot colder when you combine wind chill and temperatures. Temperatures can seem way below what they really are, and we see even up toward the Great Lakes, we're seeing temperatures feeling like they are around zero. So we're going to see this dip with the wind chill. It could be around 40 degrees or so in the next few days. So with the wind coming from the northwest and the Canadian air, it's going to feel a lot colder. But taking a look at the surface, we do see a low pressure system currently sitting right towards the west, moving on toward the east, and we have those temperatures that are kind of cooler and cold heading our way as well. So with that, we might have a chance to see some flurries Friday into Saturday, but that's about it. So taking a look at the 4-day forecast, we will see that for Thursday, Friday, we're seeing temperatures hovering around the mid-40s. And for Friday, we're seeing that we do have some cloudy conditions with that low pressure system making its way off toward the east. We might get some flurries Friday into Saturday, but don't hold your breath. We're about 30 to 40% sure that we're going to get some precipitation. And then Saturday and Sunday finally feels about average, especially on Saturday, and then Sunday decreasing temperatures. And later on into next week, we're going to see some cold, cold air coming on through. So for the mountains forecast, we see Saturday and Sunday relatively nice with temperatures in the mid-40s. And for the beach, if we want to head off towards Wilmington, we see that temperatures are hovering right around normal. So if you want to make your way to the beach this weekend, that would be really nice. Or stay here, that's okay too. We're seeing really sunny conditions.
Well, I've got to tell you, seeing those freezing temperatures up north makes me glad I live in North Carolina.
I know, me too.
Thanks, Lara.
Thanks.
Sportscaster Brandon Curry joins us now. Hi, Brandon.
Hey, I'm looking across the table at our NC State weathercaster.
Could have called this one.
Kind of smug earlier, but I'm here to talk about UNC's true rival. Coming up in sports, we'll take a look at the Battle of the Blues. This is what you've been waiting for. Carolina, Duke, both the men and women's basketball teams have dates with the Devils.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts. What is that thing?
Looks like somebody's double chin. Must have lost it snacking on fruits and vegetables.
Somebody's gonna trip on that.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Brandon Curry. As we mentioned earlier, Butch Davis took a major step to leading North Carolina football back to national prominence with his first recruiting class. Here's a look at some of the big names coming to Chapel Hill next year. One of the biggest surprises was Marvin Austin. This guy, the #1 ranked defensive tackle in the nation and the #7 player overall as ranked by Rivals.com. The ginormous Austin had narrowed his choices to Florida State and UNC before finally turning down Bobby Bowden. This guy is humongous. Another 5-star player, Burlington native Dwight Jones, will be lining up opposite super sophomore Hakeem Nicks as wide receiver in the fall. Here he is putting down a touchdown, hopefully to bring UNC some. Another surprise was Durham's Greg Little, a stellar athlete who backed out of a verbal commitment to Notre Dame and decided to stay close to home. Down at Kenan Stadium, the day started off good and kept getting better. Carolina added one big-time recruit after another. As you can see, the proof of Carolina's bright future is written on the wall. The letter of intent started rolling in early this morning. I think it's safe to say Coach Davis is pretty pleased.
They've got great speed, and they all have playmaking ability. And a lot of times you don't talk about playmaking ability when you talk about alignment. But when you take a look at Tydreek Powell and you take a look at Marvin Austin,
and joining Austin, Little, and Jones next year, 4-star player Mike Paulus, ranked the 4th best quarterback and little brother of Duke point guard Greg Paulus. Other big names include Rashad Mason, a wide receiver from Tennessee, and Tydreek Powell, a defensive tackle from right here in the Tar Heel State. These future Tar Heels have propelled Butch Davis's first recruiting class into the top 20 in the country. Last year, led by freshman Tyler Hansbrough, the men's basketball team gave the Cameron crowd another reason to go crazy. This year, UNC enters the matchup with a new class of decorated freshmen. Sports reporter Brittany Busen says with both teams coming off a loss and bragging rights on the line, tonight's game is huge.
Blue Devil veterans J.J. Redick and Sheldon Williams started out last year's Duke game confident that they could come away with a W. The Blue Devils were on fire in the first half as Redick drained a couple of threes. But the Heels didn't put up with J.J. and Sheldon's shenanigans for long. Tyler Hansbrough and Carolina's other freshmen turned up the heat and crashed Duke Senior Day. By the half, the Heels trailed by only 1 point. Redick seemed to lose his touch in the second half, and the Heels went on an 11-0 run with 5:30 remaining. The Blue Devils struggled to cut the UNC lead to 3, and the Cameron Crazies prayed, but Bobby Frazier said no way as he nailed those last free throws to seal the win. And for the first time since 1996, Duke fell to UNC on Duke Senior Night. Hansbrough was all smiles, scoring 27 points to Redick's 18. This year, the Heels have the veterans, but with both teams coming off a loss, both the Devils and the Heels will be hungry for victory. Sounds like the makings for yet another heart-pounding game between college basketball's biggest rivals. In Chapel Hill, I'm Brittany Bussian, Carolina Week Sports.
And from one huge game to another, Jessica Woltz says the making of this year's Carolina-Duke women's basketball game are nearly identical to last year's matchup, #1 versus #2.
The Lady Tar Heels head into Thursday's match, winning the last 5 straight against the other ladies in blue. This match should be another classic. Just like last year, the two teams enter first and second in the nation. While Duke has the higher seed, both teams enter undefeated and will face a sold-out crowd in Carmichael Stadium. Last year, the Heels were led to a 77-65 victory by Ivory Latta and her game-high 18 points. To win this year, Latta must once again control the tempo of the game. The Heels will also need post player Erlena Larkins to dominate on the inside. If we see history repeat itself, Latta will once again show the crowd who is number one. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jessica Woltz, Carolina Week Sports.
The men's tennis team had a doubleheader on Tuesday facing Howard and then Campbell. Carolina won both matches 7-0 without even dropping a set. In the second match of the day, the Heels pushed straight through doubles in an hour. Number 6, Taylor Fogelman, bageled his opponent, Alex Duval. The rest of the team kept Campbell's score very low. The closest match was fought at number 3, but Chris Kearney finished off his opponent at 6-3, 6-3. Next, UNC will be headed to Houston to face Rice and Vanderbilt. As I mentioned before, UNC is ranked 13th in the country for recruiting class. Duke is ranked 89th.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, that's good news.
Thanks, Brandon.
Many of us relieve stress and express our emotions through writing.
But if you're like me, you'd never think your words will actually be read by anyone else. Coming up, we'll find out why the town of Carrboro wants to change that and have you send in your poems.
Racial steering is illegal. If you think you've been a victim, call the National Fair Housing Alliance. We'll respond within 24 hours and help you take action.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
5 years ago, Carrboro first selected a poet to represent the town's vibrant art community. Now Carrboro is hunting for its next poet laureate. Reporter Ashley Perryman has the story.
This Carrboro Arts Committee is meeting to discuss the selection process for the town's next poet laureate. The contest has drawn poets as young as 10 and requires only that the poet be a permanent resident of Carrboro. Committee member Jackie Helvey says every poet treats the position differently.
Each one has kind of found their niche, you know. Patrick started the Poetry Festival, and Todd has sent written poems and just gone in the phone book and looked up people's names, and if it says they live in Carrboro, he mails them a poem.
While the Poet Laureate has no official duties, it is the unwritten rule that it's the poet's job to bring poetry from the bookstore to the community.
To be considered for the position, hopeful poets must submit 2 copies of a poem along with an application to the committee by the summer deadline. The influence the poet laureates have made events such as Open Mic Night at Open Eye Cafe to be a common sight in the Carrboro community. Authors and fans lounge and share their favorite poems and tell stories about their creations. Even first-timers can relax with such an appreciative audience. The Carrboro Poetry Festival will name the new laureate in October. If you write ballads, haikus, or limericks, the next poet laureate could be you. In Carrboro, I'm Ashley Perryman, Carolina Week.
I don't know, Kate. I think I'd be a little nervous to submit my writings to that.
I'm with you. That's why I keep my journal hidden far, far away. But those people are great, and it's really nice to see what they're doing for the community.
Definitely. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks very much for watching, and have a good night.